Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
And thank you for joining us for another episode of Foxborough Central. I am Bob Hickey, your host. And we are going to talk to a couple good folks here about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough truly the gem of Norfolk County. First, before we start, I'd like to introduce my guests. On my left here is Jim DeVellis. Jim,
good to see you, Bob.
Selectman, volunteer, and tonight you are just a volunteer, as you tell me, although I'm going to put quotations, if it's all right with you, around the word just, okay?
Sure.
Fantastic. And Heather Harding. Heather, so nice of you to come by and join us.
Thanks.
And Heather is the chairman of the Friends of Foxborough Conservation. Did I get that right? Director of the Friends of Foxborough Conservation. I was close.
You were close.
But they're friends.
Exactly.
And so I can't get it too wrong.
That's right.
Fantastic.
All works.
So the Friends of Foxborough Conservation directly support the Conservation Commission and the work that they do. Mm-hmm. And the reason why we are here tonight is a really big event is coming up. When I say big, it is so cool to see our resources enhanced, and when you get a public-private partnership going, we're all winners here in this community. And we have such a great opportunity coming up with the Lane property, which, as we know, was purchased some 20 years ago now, to create a conservation area surrounding the southwestern edge of the Neponset Reservoir, and it's directly accessible off of North Street, and it's open to the public. It also is where the Neponset Reservoir Dam comes into play, and there's a walking path there that goes across and ends up in the old state hospital property. So there's a nice walking trail area, it's nice conservation, but up until now, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it has just been woods and space. And scouts go camping there, people recreate there, usually it's legal, fishing, but up until now there's been nothing formal. But now we've got something formal that's happened. And Jim, why don't you start off, because this project is really something that was your brainchild back in the day, and I don't know if this is exactly where you thought it would end up, but when I went out there to visit you the other day, I'm blown away by what I see. So why don't you share?
Yeah, it's quite a project, and I step back. It wasn't my brainchild. It was Heather and I. We got a call from Jack Arthurlet back in the fall, looking for opportunities to work with Foxborough company, Snyder. It's Inventus, now Snyder. Mm-hmm. They wanted to give back to the community in some way. So we kind of got together and had a list of, a handful of projects. And that one at the Lane Homestead kind of captured us because it's conservation, it's open space, it's 80 acres that was purchased back in 86?
88.
88, mm-hmm. So almost 30 years ago, and has a deed restriction that has to be kept, conservation and educational conservation for a number of years. So we kind of put our heads together and we came up with a concept and a grant opportunity proposal back to Schneider, and they approved it. Mm-hmm. And we had our ribbon cutting in September.
Yeah.
So
the
now,
kickoff.
The groundbreaking, yeah.
And a really good group of volunteers, building contractors, site contractors, families that donated benches and trees and birdhouses and bird baths, and so over the last 6 or 7 months, formally engineered plans, got it approved by the Conservation Commission. Been working hard, and then on June 1st, next Thursday, looking to do a ribbon cutting.
That's
everyone
fantastic.
back together to do it. But it's a, of all the projects that you see coming and going, this is kind of a true community project where we just grabbed as much local talent. Mm-hmm. I think everybody was from Foxborough that we hired or volunteered to get this done.
So Jim just let the cat out of the bag. We're going to share now that the ribbon cutting is on Thursday, June 1st. It's going to be at the Lane property. For those of you who don't know how to get there, maybe either new to town or just new to that area, if you take North Street going up past the Ernie George Field and you get to the little hook in the road where the railroad tracks come across on that turn, that's the entrance to the Lane property, and the parking lot has been completely redone. There's now designated parking. It's no longer just in the field. There's now logs and whatnot to show you where to park and where not to park. So it's if you haven't been up there in the last few months, I would suggest go to visit it because it's completely different. The one building has been converted, reconditioned, and converted to a learning center. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, Heather, as the director of the Friends of the Conservation Commission, you surely have had a list of things that you wanted to do should a money guy come along. And it seems as though this is such a wonderful use of the property. How did this all come to a decision point and then the plans? Where did this start?
It started quite a few years ago when the Recreation Department brought the fishing derby back. We did it at the Lane property
Sure.
down on Neponset. And, everybody would say, oh, we didn't even know this place was here. It's so beautiful. So we kind of thought we really wanted to get it cleaned up, but there was no funding mechanism. And then the Conservation Commission really wanted to put in a memorial garden to Dave Reich, who was the first conservation agent. So it started with that, where the Friends group got together and said, okay, what do you want? Maybe we can do it. And it just started as a small deck area and a memorial garden at the entrance. And that's what we were working on when we got the grant opportunity with Schneider. So, that's when we said, hey, we can really turn this into something big and really have a large community impact. So,
the piece of the part of this that's most striking, in my opinion, and you can see it from the road, it's the deck that you just mentioned. And part of the interesting piece of this is that not only is education, but it's all handicapped accessible. And to that end, the deck was designed to allow for a clear space for individuals with disabilities to have clear view. And the deck overhangs Lower Crack Rock Pond, and it's very peaceful. The space is something completely different than what I remember from just 6 months ago. So for those of you who haven't been in that area, owe it to yourself to take a little time to go down. No taxpayer dollars part of this. This is all funded through the Friends, and that funding came from the main sponsor, Schneider Electric.
yes.
Fantastic. So Schneider Electric has come to town. They want to be partners with our community needs, and this seems like a great, I won't want to say a first step, but this is a phenomenal way to really make something special happen, no?
Yeah. No, I think when we looked at it, Neponset, the whole property is about 80 acres. So we're focusing on 1 acre as kind of the gateway to. So it's educational. So there's going to be maps and trail maps and indications where you go around of some of the history in the community services from Foxborough.
I think one of the Eagle Scout projects is to make the stone map area, and that's one of the things. So everything is not completed yet, correct?
Come in a week, I think it would be 95% complete.
There you go. So it'll be a great way to really show off everything. People can see not only how much work went into it, but there's a little work yet to go. So are you looking for volunteers to do anything? Are you looking for any support? What do we want to have people do on Thursday, June 1st? And at what time, by the way?
It's at
noontime.
Yeah, noontime.
At noon, at high noon.
Yep.
So you don't want money, you don't want anything, you just want people to come and enjoy the space.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just an opportunity to hear the story of the different components that came together with the scouts and the families and the different friends of groups. And, although we got the main push and the main grant from Snyder, I would say quite a sizable amount of effort and some donations that came to make it together. So, in a time where people say, oh, the town's changing and people don't understand volunteerism, to give an hour on June 1st to come and listen to all the different components, puts it in perspective.
Right, and it truly does. And I think you raise a great point, and I know Heather and Jim, you both do so much for this community and volunteer so much of your time. I always say that Foxborough is built on the backs of our volunteers, and it's not surprising that Jack Othlet is the one that came to you with the idea, because he always seems to have that pulse on both the need as well as who can do. So great teamwork, great team approach, and great outcome. I've been up there. I saw it. I got to spend a little time in the education center, and I love the antique stove that's down. Now tell me about
Heather's baby.
That's Heather's baby. Tell me about the antique stove.
We found it when we were cleaning out what was the garage. We found it kind of stuck up in the back upstairs, and I thought, oh, wouldn't this be nice to clean it up and put it back together
It's beautiful.
and bring it
It
back
looks
downstairs.
great.
The learning center itself doesn't have heat or anything, so it is not going to be, able to be used year-round. So what we did was we cleaned it up. We managed to find all the pieces. We put it all back together, and we were able to retrofit it with a small electric heater. So the building won't be heated year-round, but if you're in there for something, the space is small enough that you could go in there and turn it on, and it just looks really cool sitting in the corner, and it's from the site, and it was used there forever. So
Now upstairs, I saw another treasure, a sled. Who would like to? Whose baby is that? Is that
You're on a roll.
Well,
go ahead?
actually,
you rocked the stove and the sled.
I
Okay.
did. Well, same thing. When we went to clean out the garage, we started realizing that there was all this old farm equipment just kind of piled in the bottom, and we started sort of going through it. One of the other friends members, Paul Hubrich, got some guys in a truck, and we went all through it, and Schneider came over and said, why don't you move it over to our shop, and we'll see what we have. And we put it on the truck, and we laid it out, and we figured out there was some really nice pieces of farm equipment here that they've been looking at and date back to the 1800s.
Really?
So
Because the Lane property was a working farm all
it
those
was.
years.
So
Yes.
five generations.
Yes.
Yep.
So they have been painstakingly refurbishing all of it over at the Schneider Electric
Really?
plant. Yeah, and the sleigh is the only piece that is 100% complete, so we've managed to move that back.
Well, it's beautiful. And
Yeah.
I wonder if it might actually make an appearance at Founders Day, maybe.
I
We'll
know
have
we
to
were talking
see.
about
Yeah.
it.
We'll have
It's
to
great.
see.
It's really
Bob
nice.
volunteered a trailer to pull it. So
Well, I haven't voluntold who's going to pull it, but we'll figure that out
It
later.
would really be worth it. I mean, it's so
Well,
fantastic.
it looks special, and also what
It
a great
does.
way to give publicity not only to the Lane property and the new Homestead. We're going to call it the Homestead. Is that the
Lane
the
Homestead.
Lane
Yeah.
Homestead. So what a great name! And the grand opening again is on Thursday, June 1st at high noon. Come on out and enjoy the day. It'll be about an hour. It'll be a nice presentation. And you'll not only get to see some friends and neighbors, but you'll get to be reintroduced to a great community resource. So with the Lane property, it is handicapped accessible. And I also saw there's a fire pit and there's a swing and benches.
Yeah.
And tell me about some of the other changes that won't be necessarily on display, but what's your vision, Madam Director, of the space and how will it be best used?
Well, there's actually 4 Eagle Scout projects that are going on up there.
4?
Yeah, the fire pit is one of them. The handicap picnic area is another one. The stone kiosk that you see up top that'll have the maps and everything. And then there's a storybook trail.
Wow.
That is for younger kids and not right at that top acre. It's up more, but
The
it's right there.
storybook trail.
Yeah, yeah. So the kids go through, and as they wander through, they get to different stations, and each one has one page out of a storybook, and they read it as they go.
Oh.
So it's really nice. And one of the things we've been talking to the schools, they used to do field trips up there. So they want to start doing that again. We would like to offer some yoga out on the deck and art classes for younger kids. Conservation has talked about doing nature walks and owl prowls and bird watching and that sort of thing. So we're hoping to offer a lot of programs for people. And the space can also just be used as a meeting space. I mean, the scouts can use it, conservation use it. Anybody that's looking for a meeting space could use the building there, and we're open to suggestions. Anybody that
great.
has anything, we're willing to entertain the idea.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, someone came last week and they were asking if they could have their wedding on the deck in the fall, which is, things that
Yeah.
just keep coming up. Do we say, sure, it's a town resource.
Now that you mention it, that would be lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just very pretty. It's very serene, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
It's just very peaceful. So again, the project is the Lane Homestead grand opening. It's on Thursday, June 1st at 12 noon. Now, Schneider Electric clearly is a major supporter. They gave the primary support. Are there other volunteers or organizations that have pitched in they'd like to give recognition to?
We talked about that earlier. There's a list of probably 40 or 50 groups and people, and to jump into it now, we're going to leave somebody out. We'll save that for June 1st, but the scouts stepped in, a lot of families. There's 3 or 4 benches that are going there and picnic tables from families that came and wanted to do something. A family donated a bunch of trees. And then,
So there's been a lot of community support and a lot of the
Yeah.
trades and a lot of the
and then I don't-
organizations that have specific skills that you needed stepped up to the plate
I
and
would
helped
say
out.
every contractor that we reached out to, fully intending to hire them for the job, either did it, buy the materials, will do the labor for free, or do the whole thing for free. I mean, it's been amazing. So the grant money's been able to go so much further than
That's
we
great.
anticipated it would.
That's so great.
Yeah.
in the, not to sell the short, the DPW, but they stepped up. They repaved the road for us. They did a lot of the side stuff. All the reclaimed asphalt that we compacting for the
Yes.
handicap, that all came from the DPW. The rain barrels, things like that, that, you don't have to ask once or twice. They're coming forward, and a lot of this stuff is on their own time. You see the
Really?
DPW director on a Saturday and Sunday surveying.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal when people see other people volunteer. they come out, and it's nice to see.
And that's one of the reasons why Foxborough is such a great community, and one of the reasons why we in this community should be grateful to folks like Jim and Heather who have stepped up and led this project. So one final time, I'm going to give you the last word, of course, as we roll out of this, but June 1st, Thursday at 12 noon. If you want more information about the Lane Homestead and that wonderful new property, you can go to the town website, click on the Conservation Commission link, and then follow the link from there. And that'll give you all the information as well as additional things like maps and interactive. It's really cool. You'll like it, I'm sure, but I've got to start someplace, and that'll be at the grand opening, the ribbon cutting on Thursday, June 1st. Heather, I'm going to let you start us off with, if you have one thing that you want me to remember leaving here today, what would that be?
Just that this is a true community project. And I think on June 1st, we're hoping that a lot of the volunteers and a lot of the contractors and stuff will come, and I think people will just be blown away by how many hands have been involved in pulling this together.
Having been given a brief tour, I would second that, and I can't believe how many, because each piece, if you think about it, requires a different skill set,
Absolutely.
a different contractor, a different volunteer to come in
Yes.
and do, because it is such a multi-phase project. So, Jim?
I would say it's a nice project for two reasons. One, Snyder, total gratitude for them coming forward. And it's a program that they're worldwide, so they're in competition with their other companies. And so we had a fight for the grant. They had a fight internally to bring it to Foxborough, so a huge undertaking for them to do that. And then I guess lastly, our kids are out there with their friends, our generation, our parents' generation. This is like 3 generations working together. And then Edie Erickson, who lives up on the hill, is a descendant of one of the Lane family generations. She opened up her photo album to us. There's going to be, inside there's going to be a big painted mural, but there's going to be about 40 feet of timeline that talks about 5 generations from when it was first done in the 1700s all the way to 2017 when we did this, back to 80s when we purchased it, and then a nice pictures of all the things that happened in between. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see that. I'm sure that everybody out there can't wait to see it. And I'm sure that we're all excited that this new facility, the Lane Homestead, will be a resource for us in Foxborough for future generations.
Perfect.
Yes.
Excellent. And excellent for you to join us. And I'm sure we'll see you out at the Lane property on Thursday, June 1st. If you'd like additional details, go to the town website, click on the Conservation Commission link, then go to the Friends link from there. And I'm sure they'll give you all the information you need. But up on North Street at the hairpin turn where the railroad tracks come across, that's where you want to be on Thursday, June 1st at 12 noon. I'll see you there. On behalf of all the volunteers at Foxborough Cable Access, I'm Bob Hickey, your host. You know, if you ever think about it, Foxborough is built on the backs of our volunteers, and we are no exception. I'd like to thank my volunteers, Deb Storrs, Betty Travers, Mike Stewart behind the cameras, Paul Beck behind the glass, Lauren Bitar and Jillian Larson, who make sure that we're all going in the right direction, and Michael Weber, who keeps all the cats going in the same herd. If you'd like to join our happy family and maybe be part of the Foxborough Cable Access movement, why not stop by our offices at 28 Central Street, check us out, take a tour, and maybe you'll get enthused and want to be part of the team here. Or you can call us at 508-543-4757 or check us out on the web at www.fcatv.org. All of those people are great. I'm Bob Hickey, your host. Thank you for taking time to join me. Have a great day, Foxborough.